my one rant would be that we must learn now that the people who went to Eton can't run this country. Okay, they've done it, they've tried to do it, and this little small group who all went to the same school in the same class, it doesn't work. So I feel we need some working class people that have lived a real life, people that are in touch with what's going on in reality to maybe come to the front.
Imagine watching a live interview where suddenly the carefully controlled world of British politics shatters in a single moment of raw human truth. No script, no filters, no political polish, just pure frustration erupting on national television. Before we continue, I'd like to ask you a quick favor. If you're enjoying this content, could you take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel? Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch these videos without hitting that subscribe button. It's completely free, and it makes a massive difference, helping us bring you more of the content you love.
A Brit Award, but what I love about you is you call a mug a mug. If we were giving out a Brit Award for your Twat of the Year, who would win the Dyer Bell End Tour?
There's so many, let's have it right. The world is being run by cranks at the moment, so probably Keir Starmer.
Okay, let's not turn this into a riot. Okay, time now to go for a break, but still to come. We're going to get a little bit less.
There are moments in British politics when the polished, careful, media-trained world of Westminster crashes headfirst into something far more powerful, raw honesty. No spin, no rehearsed lines, just the unfiltered voice of the people, spoken with a fire that no politician dares to use anymore. And every now and then, that honesty doesn't come from a political expert, a professor, or a policy advisor. It comes from someone who has lived the real Britain, felt the real struggles, and speaks in a way the country instantly understands. That's exactly what happened when actor Dyer delivered one of the most explosive, brutally honest takedowns of Keir Starmer that the UK has ever seen. A rant so fiery, so painfully real, that it sliced straight through the political noise and forced the entire country to stop and listen. Because whether you agree with him or not, there's one thing that can't be denied. Dyer said out loud what millions of frustrated Britons have been whispering for years. To understand why this moment hit so hard, we first need to understand where Britain stands right now. After more than a decade of political chaos, scandals, broken promises, rising costs, and a sense of national exhaustion, people aren't just desperate for change. They're desperate for honesty. They're desperate for a leader who actually feels what they feel. Someone who understands the fear, the anger, and the frustration building in homes from Dagenham to Glasgow.
Start to getting involved in how this country's run.
Would you ever go into politics full time?
Oh, imagine.
No, darling, I'm too busy. I've got a game show on at the moment. I've got another podcast with my daughter, and of course, I'm in the greatest soap that has ever been. So I'm all right for the minute. So let's just watch the government unravel themselves, I think, and let's just try and stay safe and just try and.
But instead, many feel like they're watching a political class that floats above everyday life, disconnected, cautious, and wrapped in layers of PR. That's where Keir Starmer comes in, a leader who built his reputation on discipline, careful planning, and quiet strategy, a man who rarely raises his voice, rarely reveals emotion, and almost never shows the kind of fire that once defined the Labour movement. To some, he's calm and collected. To others, he's safe to the point of lifelessness. And to many, including Dyer, he represents a political generation that's too afraid of upsetting anyone to actually inspire anyone. So when Dyer unleashed his now viral critique, it wasn't just a celebrity sounding off. It was a pressure valve exploding. It was the working class voice that Labour used to rely on, the voice of the people who built the party, demanding to be heard again. And what made his words shake the political establishment wasn't the shouting or the emotion or the rough edges. It was the authenticity, that rare thing politics has almost forgotten how to produce. On live camera, Dyer didn't hold back. He didn't sugarcoat his frustration or soften his language. He asked the question millions have been quietly asking: where is the passion? Where is the anger? Where is the leadership that actually connects to the lives of ordinary people? At a time when families are struggling with rising costs, when political scandals dominate headlines, when trust in institutions is collapsing, And when people feel forgotten, how can the opposition sound so quiet? This wasn't about policy. It wasn't about manifestos or parliamentary votes. It was about emotion, about identity, about the soul of British politics. And what made the moment extraordinary was that it didn't come from the polished world of Westminster, but from a man who speaks the language of Britain's streets, pubs, workplaces, and living rooms. A man who doesn't hide behind polite phrases or careful wording. He says what he feels, and he says it loudly. And that's why it resonated, because people aren't looking for perfection. They're not asking for spotless professionalism. They're asking for someone who looks like they care, someone who feels the stakes, someone who speaks not just to the mind, but to the heart. When Danny Dyer erupted, it felt like the emotional outburst the country itself had been holding in. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't polished, but it was painfully real. Behind his rant was a deeper message, one that goes far beyond Starmer and far beyond Labour. It was a message about connection, about authenticity, about the widening gap between politicians and the people they're supposed to represent. Dyer's raw frustration was a reflection of something bigger, a growing belief that modern politics has become too safe, too scripted, too afraid to show emotion or conviction. And in that vacuum, voices like his only grow louder. Whether you love him or hate him, Danny Dyer tapped into a truth that Britain has been avoiding. The political system is running low on passion, and people are noticing. This video isn't about attacking anyone. It's not about choosing sides or pushing one political message over another. It's about examining why this moment went viral, why it mattered, and what it reveals about the state of leadership in the UK today. Because if one man's frustrated outburst can shake the political establishment, then maybe the establishment needs to ask itself why. This is the story of how a working-class actor accidentally held up a mirror to the entire British political system, and why millions of people saw their own feelings reflected back at them.